Hey, everybody, it's Self Care with Ayana B, and I am your host, Ayana B. I am here with Tanya Harris, entrepreneur, wife, mom, amazing woman. How are you today, Tanya?
I'm well. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for being here with us. We see you as this amazing woman, and we just want to know a little bit more about you. And thank you for coming to share your
Yeah,
life with us.
I appreciate it.
So tell us, what does a typical day in your life look like?
Yeah, the typical day. Sometimes it's super busy. And then some other days it's very chill. And I guess, any entrepreneur knows, when you're running your own business, it's kind of you schedule your own day out, you have your priorities of things that need to happen, but then you have your days where nothing happens, and in our world, I'm a makeup artist and I'm also a performer. I sing alongside my husband, so us being able to curate our days with Maya being in school throughout the day, we try to have some of that evening time for her. So we do a lot of our business meetings because we also run an online business. So we'll do some of those meetings throughout the daytime while she's gone, right? And then when she comes home, we can have some downtime with her. And then later towards the evening time, maybe even a couple more meetings, or if it's from Thursday, sometimes Wednesdays, Thursday through Saturday, we're performing, you know? So
Mhm.
there's either a small event or a restaurant or maybe a huge festival is happening. And then some Saturdays, those are kind of booked up too, because depending on if it's a full wedding for only makeup or it's makeup and also singing, it could be an all day affair. So it just depends,
Oh,
It depends.
you get booked to do makeup and also yourself and your husband sometimes sing at that same wedding?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. That is,
It's fun.
wow. I cannot imagine. That sounds like a lot of work. And obviously, you guys do an amazing job if people continue to hire you to do that. Just side
Yeah.
note, guys, Tanya and her husband, amazing singers. They sound amazing. Amazing. All right. So, in
Yeah.
all that busyness, because you've got meetings back to back, you've got a daughter that you're taking care of, you and your husband are in business together, and then you're in business as a makeup artist alone. Do you find it difficult sometimes to just prioritize yourself?
Sometimes I will agree. Yes. But then you have to have those come to Jesus moments, right? Where you check yourself and you say, okay, you know what? You might want to schedule some time for yourself here, And so
Mhm.
there might be days where, I need to run errands, but I need to do it by myself. So I can use that time to think. Radio is off, everything is off, and I'm just running around, but I'm thinking in between commuting, or maybe putting on a podcast, something educational. I always like to stay cutting edge, fresh, what's going on, staying relevant. So yeah, you got to schedule them. Sometimes it is a little difficult. It
Mhm.
is. Mhm.
So, why would you say, even though it's difficult, why is it important to you to make sure you're prioritizing yourself?
Yeah, 'cause sometimes you can just get lost in it all. If you are not really focusing on who you are and then you're trying to pour yourself out to others, and eventually, if you are not pouring into yourself, you run dry. There's nothing more of you to give, and no one benefits when that happens. So you got to think to yourself, okay, how am I going to rejuvenate myself, right? I need to replenish all this pouring out that I've been doing. And in this instance, the pouring out for us is we put it all out on the table when we perform, you know, or whenever I'm, with my clients, I can't be dead and, so tired trying to do someone's face. That energy everybody feels that. So you got to go with the right energy. You got to come with it whenever you're out there and people are looking, no matter if you're off the clock or not, everyone's watching. So you always got to keep that level at that standard that you have for yourself of professionalism, right? you have your moments where you might just need to be alone, but you keep that in private, and then you get yourself together and pick yourself back up. And it's one thing all of our mentors has always said, it's okay if you're down, just don't get down for too long. You got to find a way to get back up, so you got to prioritize it. So I know you can't pour out of an empty vessel. I know that. So you have to make the time.
Mm.
It's necessary.
I like what you said that everyone can feel that energy if you're ignoring,
Yeah.
if you're not prioritizing yourself. When you go to do the makeup, when you're going to sing, everyone around that you're providing the service for can
Yeah.
feel that. That's so important for us to
It's
remember.
so true. Yes.
What are three things that you typically do in your self-care routine?
Self-care routine. I love, okay. If anybody knows me and you go to like any of my Insta page especially, I'm a nails girl, okay? And these are the glue-ons are my favorite, okay? Any form of glue-on, I'm down for, and I've been doing that for like years upon years. So I have like a whole real, highlight thing just for that. So part of my routine when it comes to self-care is change up the nails. I feel like you gotta switch it up, get a little fresh. I like to make sure my hair gets done some form of fashion. I do everything myself except, a full cut. I can cut the back and the sides, but everything else. So my hair getting done, doing my nails, and then I love a good pamper session as far as skincare. Skin is where it's at. As you can tell today, I'm not wearing much makeup at all. Okay, maybe just some lashes and some gloss and call it a day. So the skin, to me, you got to take care of it. It's your palette, right? Before you get to painting, you want to make sure the canvas is nice and good. So I always go through like a whole self-care routine with the facials as far as the masks and just everything else when it comes to
Yes.
this. So those are my top three.
Top three. I love it. Listen, ever since she was like a young girl, hair always, always. Just know that that's not new. She's always been that way.
Yeah.
So have you always been intentional about your self-care? I know you've been intentional about that hair, but have you always been intentional just in general about prioritizing yourself? And if not, why did you start?
Yeah. So I think for self-care, it was more, I think, easier when I wasn't necessarily married or had a kid because it was just all about me then. Then you do get married and then you do have a kid and then your priorities have to shift a bit because it can't be all about you, right? Now you have an actual person depending on you fully is one of them with the child. Then you've got a husband who may need to find something that might be directly in front of him. But he's usually pretty good at stuff like that. But now I have other people relying on me. So sometimes it has been difficult to kind of prioritize that. And I guess I kind of made that switch when I realized that, you know what, you are really not yourself. There's a moment where when you're just doing so much for others, you kind of, again, like I said earlier, you get lost in it all. And then this is like, so who am I? You're like, am I this person for this person, or what am I for me? So I think I had that realization, and this was maybe about a year or two, and this was like going through postpartum and all of that. Having a kid for the first time is different, especially when you don't really know what to expect. You're reading books, but they don't really talk about all that. So I think after that happened, I was like, I need to get back to doing the makeup. I need to get back to being out and about. I need to just get back to what I'm used to doing so I can feel like myself again. And I think that's when I had the realization. So yeah, taking care of self became more of a priority after that.
Mhm. I want to just ask you another question. You said in the books they don't tell you about that. What do you wish would have been in a book when either you
Yeah.
about to get married or about to have a child? What do you wish?
Yeah. Hmm. For marriage. Um, you know, I did not grow up in a two-parent household. I only grew up with the mom, right? My husband had a two-parent household, so he kind of saw what marriage looked like. I didn't. So I had to learn. a little bit more of what that actually did look like, you know? And so even in reading, I read a couple of books and I was able to piece a few things together, but I would say maybe more of the compromising and the growth part of it, working together, growing together. I wish I could have read more about that, you know, just kind of understanding more about that when it comes to having a child, you know, the postpartum part of it, I felt wasn't really leaned on as heavy as it should have because it could be long or it could be short for every woman is different, you know? And I just was unaware. So I feel like I kind of, yeah, I would have loved to have read more about that, I think.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So, how has your perspective on self care or prioritizing yourself, however you want to put it, how has that changed since you started prioritizing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I will always tell like any other woman that I encounter, you know, I always tell them you got to take care of yourself, you know, have a moment or two for yourself because I understand it. I understand us having to, we're the nurturing type. We're the ones that do for others most of the time, right? You know, so it's just a matter of, okay, well, again, like I said, you gotta make sure your vessel is full before you can start pouring into others. And it is important. You have to take care of yourself and make sure you're at that, you know, sustainability level. So where you are able to pour into others, you're not feeling so drained. You know, like I had a meeting today with a young lady and she was saying how she's such an empath, you know, where she can feel what the other person is going through and it literally physically sometimes affects her, you know, her mental, like her, she's just so engulfed with the emotional side of things. And I just had to remind her, you know, sometimes whenever you're in that area where you're trying to help someone, and yes, what they're going through can affect you, but you have to have a mindset of I need to be solution oriented if I'm going to help them. I can't dwell on the feeling, you know, because then you can let that feeling bog you down more and then you're helpless. You know what I'm saying? You can't really help them or yourself, you know? So that was just a few things. I don't know. I have to kind of keep that in mind, but I tell every woman, take care of yourself. It's necessary, you know, make that
Oh,
time happen.
I love that. You got to be solution oriented, especially if
Yeah.
you have. I like that, or else you won't be able to help them. You'll be helpless. I like that. So, what advice do you have for someone who is just starting? If you can remember back to when you thought, who am I? And am I only a mom? Am I only a wife? Who am I as Tanya Harris? Think back to that. What advice do you have for someone who's at that point in their life right now?
Yeah. If you're at a point where you're really trying to figure it out, I will tell you, um, first find someone who is in life where you want to be. Because if you don't have a mentor, someone who can kind of see your blind spots to help coach you, and not only in one area of life, all other areas of your life, spirituality, your health, your finances, your relationships. If someone has it all together, see if you can attach yourself to them in some way, form, or fashion to help give you the guidance you need to be able to get it together in those areas, right? So find a mentor. And then secondly, I would say have a notebook handy. There's something that was given to me right when we had Maya. It was a notebook because she said, you know, put your thoughts and feelings in this book. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't come to the realization of it until this year that that book was full of negativity. It was full of the things I didn't want to voice because I didn't want it to come to fruition or how I felt, you know, going through certain things because I didn't know how to deal with my feelings. So I would just write them out. You know, if it was too bad, I would write it out, tear it up, and I will either light it on fire or throw it down, you know, the drain somewhere from a fashion, right? But I would tell you the notebook, even though it was negative, it helped me deal through some things, right? This year, I have switched it up instead of just only putting the negative things that I don't necessarily voice. I've switched it out to be where I'm not even giving it life. I'm only showing gratitude. So I have a gratitude notebook. And I would tell you, just because this is what February, the end of February, over these past 2 months, so many wonderful things has happened, including what I'm sitting in is a brand new vehicle that we just purchased on Wednesday. And this has been on my vision wall for 5 years. And I was able to take that picture off. And I keep a folder because I do this vision wall every year. I write a list of 100 things that I want to have, accomplish, or do. And I just write whatever it might be. Maybe get a new utensil set. I don't care what it is. You write it out, okay? And simply doing that, I was able to make this thing happen. But that notebook helped me to put my thoughts on paper. And I will tell you, if you can turn those thoughts into, okay, you know what, this may have happened, but let me come from a place of gratitude. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. It makes a world of a difference. And just in the 2 months, I've seen that. So I would suggest a mentor and a notebook, and then make it a gratitude notebook. I think it'll be helpful.
Wow, that is solid advice. Solid advice. Congratulations on the car. I'm so excited for you guys. So,
I'm
what,
so excited.
what do you plan to add to your self-care routine this year?
This year, I was just talking to someone about this. I think I'm gonna add a massage, maybe if not every week, at least every other week or something. I need to figure it out. But I remember when I was pregnant and I got those massages, I was like, God, I was in a whole different world. And it was just part of the self-care. You gotta just get those muscles stretched out, get those limbs limber. And I'm a workout person. I'm in my fit. I'm gonna hit the gym after this.
Okay.
So I've got to get my health back. I need to lose this weight. I need to do this and that, right? But I feel like part of it, as far as pampering myself and taking care of myself, having that moment of zen, a massage is wonderful, and it gives you time to just relax and kind of get away a little bit. So I think I want to add that.
I agree. I love a good massage, and you just made me realize I haven't had one in a while myself. I need to
Girl, go get you one.
I need to go do that for real. Wow. Well, that actually, those are all the questions that I wanted to ask you, but I do want to delve just a little bit further, a little bit more personal into these questions at the end here, if you have just a moment for us.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions back to back and just answer whatever it is the first thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Okay. All right.
Right. What is your favorite self-care item?
Hmm. Favorite self-care item? Yeah, it's gonna have to be it's a pore cleansing mask. I just love the feeling I get. So yeah, it's my favorite item.
All right.
Mhm.
What's your favorite self-care activity?
Mm. I think journaling. Yeah, I've really come to enjoy it.
Right. All right. What's your favorite travel destination? So somewhere you've been and you want to go back. You could go back every year.
Every year. Um, Favorite one, it has become this place called Seven Springs in Pennsylvania. It's Seven Springs Resort. And if you go at the right time of year, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Okay. So what's on your bucket list? Where do you want to travel to that you haven't been yet?
Australia.
Oh, all right.
I need to go there. It's definitely there for me.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Gotcha. So you mentioned podcasts earlier that you like to listen to them sometimes in the car. Can you give us two of your favorite podcasts that you like to listen to?
Favorite podcast would be, let's see. Favorite one. Hmm. All right. So one of my favorite podcasts, yeah, it's by John Maxwell. And there's another gentleman, he does different things, but Robert Kiyosaki is awesome. There's some things that he's created, even for our industry and e-commerce, that he has made, and I just love his work. So yeah, those are two great guys.
All right. Well, last question, or I guess questions. Since you are a singer, what's your favorite genre of music to sing and then genre of music to listen to?
Yeah, okay. I love R&B, neo soul. Honest, I love to listen and sing to both. So, and then we have like the old school soul too. So I love that Aretha Franklin or Stevie Wonder, those kind of guys. And I don't know. I love R&B. I love neo soul. It's part of me. Something about the rhythm, the beat is just it's everything.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. Well, tell everybody where we can find you online.
Yes. So you can find me personally on Instagram with my handle is Mrs. underscore T Harris. Singing wise, you can find my husband and I at C and T Sings. That's CandTSings. That's on Insta and Facebook. Facebook, you can find me as just Tanya Harris, and that's Tanya with an A. All right. But yeah, those are the places. I hope to find you guys soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tanya. And I thank you guys out there for joining us here, and we wish you well.